Drive Time with Dave Monk. This is BBC Essex.
Well, one of the planet's biggest pop stars, Justin Bieber, has revealed he's been diagnosed with Lyme's disease. 25-year-old announced the news on his Instagram and said he was getting the right treatment for the condition. It's actually caused by ticks. He also hit back at speculation that symptoms such as weight loss and blotches on his skin were as a result of a drugs problem. Well, Sarah Warren from Colchester has herself Lyme's disease. She's been telling me exactly what the condition is.
It's a bacterial infection. The most common way is to get it from a tick, and probably the most common carrier is a deer, but there are other ways that, other animals that it could be on.
And how did you get it?
I don't exactly know. I mean, it was from a tick, but I think the most common is people become ill and they don't know why they're ill, and then you have to sort of work backwards over time trying to work out when it happened. And I was probably bitten as a child because my dad can remember me with a bullseye rash on me, but it was so long ago that people didn't even really know about Lyme disease then.
And when did the actual disease itself come on with you then, if you were bitten by as a child? I
had sort of 3 separate sort of episodes. So around 7, I was really ill for about a year. And then I kind of made a recovery. And then as a teenager, I sort of went downhill again and again. Sort of when I was in sixth form, I was really, really ill. So with the sort of 2 years of sixth form, I only managed to go to school probably in total for about a year. And then I managed to kind of recover again from that. And then probably when I was about late 30s, I had my final sort of collapse where I never really got better after that.
And how does it affect you? I mean, how throughout those periods, what actually happens to you?
There are different strains of it, so people can vary with their symptoms. But for me, I guess the thing that most people know about is the extreme fatigue, which I think is pretty universal for people with Lyme disease. And then my sort of symptoms were very neurological. So even now, I've got a lot of memory loss. I can get quite confused. I can get lost easily. Yeah, my memory is absolutely shocking. I mean, I'm in my 50s, but my memory is probably worse than probably like an 80-year-old. And you can have joint problems, a general feeling of having the worst flu you've ever had, having that. 2 years ago, I had a lot of seizures for about a year, which usually people will get when they've had it for a long time, but some people will get it early on. So it's pretty much completely changes your life.
And I mean, this may seem a silly question, but is somebody with Lyme's disease able to work?
I would say that, I mean, I know a lot of people through the sort of help groups. I'm probably one of the few people I know who work. So pretty much for years I couldn't work at all, and now I work. I'm a tutor. I work at home, so I've had to completely change the way I work because I used to be a primary school teacher, right. But I couldn't do that anymore. So luckily for me, I have sort of transferable skills. But when I first started tutoring, I used to tutor about 1 or 2 hours a day, and that would completely floor me. So I couldn't do anything else. But now I can, but I still have to be very careful how I use my energy up.
And how is it treated?
Well, I have had no treatment on the NHS here.
None?
None at all, which is shocking, isn't it? But if you are lucky and you catch your Lyme disease quickly, so you've seen that you get bitten by a tick, you go along to the doctor. In theory, you should then have a Lyme test, and then if it comes back positive, you should have antibiotics. But even that's quite problematic because the test is, I've just been reading in the press today because of all the stuff that's come out today that the NHS are claiming that their test is very accurate, but most Lyme disease group would dispute that, and it's not very accurate, especially for people like me who get diagnosed years later. Most of us will come out with a negative test for Lyme disease if we took the NHS one.
And if they test it positive, if they catch it early, they can treat it with antibiotics, can they?
It's very treatable if you catch it straight away, and also if you have a high enough dose of antibiotics, which unfortunately is another thing that's in debate on how high the dose should be. Basically, you need to have a really high dose for about 6 weeks, and then it's done and you could be well for the rest of your life. But that very rarely happens. But it is a curable disease if you catch it early. If you're like me and you have it late, you'll probably have it for the rest of your life. And I saw I was just looking at the Justin Bieber sort of what he tweeted, and he said on it that it was, in his treatment, it's been incurable at the moment.
So, from your own experiences, what are your thoughts about Justin Bieber and his future?
I feel really sad for him. I mean, I feel really sad for anybody that I hear that gets Lyme disease. And then when I hear a young person has got it, it breaks my heart because, it destroys your life. I mean, I don't know how he's going to be able to do his job. In his tweet, he said he's already been ill for 2 years. And also the backlash he's getting. I saw later on a tweet from his wife saying people were sort of sending all sorts of horrible things. I don't know what, because I haven't read that. But just saying that it wasn't that serious, and but Lyme disease. If you can think of one of the worst diseases you could have, Lyme disease would be in that top sort of 10 of your worst diseases.
And other people have come out as well. Shania Twain, she's come out.
And there's Chris Christopherson has recently as well, and there's quite a few famous people. I think the problem is why people take so long is, first of all, it takes so long to diagnose because. Well, I had about 30 symptoms, and I think that's quite common. And then when you go into a doctor with 30 symptoms, either they think that you're making it up, or they're not related, or they're not putting them all together as one disease. And so I think it's probably one of the most misdiagnosed diseases. I mean, I was diagnosed with ME initially, which is a very common misdiagnosis, and there's no treatment for ME. So they'll just say, go away and live your life. But you're basically telling people to go away and live their life. I mean, at that point, I was bedbound and with 2 young children, and they're just saying, get on with your life. How can you do that?
This is unbelievable, isn't it, Sarah? This is all from being bitten by a tick that's come off an animal. So you've been walking through a field somewhere, maybe with shorts on, a tick has got onto your leg and bitten you. Yeah.
It seems unbelievable, doesn't it? I mean, if I hadn't lived through it myself, I probably wouldn't have believed it. But and another thing that a lot of people don't realise, which another thing I saw with Justin Bieber, said that he's got Lyme disease and also a chronic viral infection, which is also very common. I mean, I've actually got 3 different bacterial infections and 2 different viral infections. So if you can imagine trying to, medicate all of those. And also, as I said, the NHS wouldn't be paying for that, so I've had to pay for it all myself.
Yes.
And also, there's no definitive treatment. Even though I've been really lucky and I've been to very good doctors, there is no, this is the one treatment that's going to make you better. I mean, I'm, one of the lucky ones, but I'm not cured. I still have Lyme disease, and I probably will have all my life.
And of course, as far as Bieber is concerned, drug addict accusations. Did you have this as well?
No, I mean, I had completely forgotten about that, but actually when I read that this morning, I suddenly remembered that actually no one accused me face to face, but when I had the flare-up when I was 17, I lost a lot of weight, and I was already, I'm very tall and thin anyway, but I'd lost, even more, and I was very, very pale, and like he said, like patchy skin, which is a common thing for Lyme disease, and actually one of my friends at school was sort of taken aside by a teacher and asked if I was a user. And I'm so anti-drugs, my friend nearly dropped dead when they said that. But I think I could see why someone might think that. And obviously, for someone like, in his job where drug use might be more prevalent, I could see why someone might say that. But, I feel so sorry for him because to accuse people of things when you have absolutely no knowledge of what's going on, I just feel really sorry for him. And also, he's newly married, isn't he? Yeah. And also, for when I see young people starting their married life, there's all implications of him. Will he be able to have a healthy child as well? That's a whole other issue because anywhere in your body that a disease could go, Lyme disease can go into that. So he might have problems passing Lyme disease on to his child. That's quite a common thing and a thing that really frightens people with Lyme disease. I was really scared. My children are 18 and 20 and haven't got any symptoms, but I'm really scared that even now, that they might develop it.
Sarah Warren from Colchester and Lyme's disease. We don't hear about it much. I think we're going to hear about it more. Just